Hey guys, welcome back to Anfield Index Pro. It's another day, it's another review show, and I have another phenomenal guest. I don't think we're quite over Liverpool winning the league, and I just want to hear as many voices and many opinions and many iconic moments that people shared throughout the whole season. And today I have another special guest. I'm going to say somewhat of a familiar voice because he's certainly been doing his rounds on Anfield Index. It is an honour to have on Mr. Grizz Kahn. Hi, Grizz.
Hi, Nina. How you doing? How are we?
We are champions and we are fabulous and we are glowing and we are thriving.
All of that.
How about you?
I'm all of that except the glowing bit.
You're glowing. You're glowing. He's modest.
There's a reason for that, right? I managed to have, in this hot, steamy, humid weather, I managed to have a hot shower. Not voluntarily, but the cold knob didn't work, so it wouldn't go to cold, and I stayed at hot. But I was in the shower, so I just decided to just have it hot, and so that's why I'm not, feeling 100,000,000%. But that's my own stupidity. Anyway, we digress.
Oh, bless you. First world problems. You know, I'm not kind of go. This is a little bit of
first world problems. First world problems.
It is what we're complaining about. You know, Liverpool are champions. So great. Let's get into the nitty and gritty. Arne Slot's announced as Liverpool manager. You know, a big change from the man that was Jurgen Klopp. I knew very little about him, so I want to kind of like rewind your memory back to, you know, Klopp's farewell and Arne Slot being announced, and the very little activity in the transfer window as well last summer as well. Let's be honest, it was pretty dead. Let's be honest, and here he is. Done it 20 times, Premier League champion, first goal, first Dutch manager. What did you expect from him, and how surprised are you that he's done this in his first season?
Yeah, as you said, major news, upheaval, etc., with Klopp, and people often downplay the amount of backroom staff that went as well with him. So many people. So there was major upheaval. I didn't know nothing about Slot, absolutely nothing about him until about a week or so, or 2 weeks, maybe about 2 weeks before he was linked. The only thing I knew about Slot before that, he was very close to the Spurs job. So straight away, I contacted, messaged, met all my Spurs fans that are very much into doing their homework when a player or manager is linked, like many Liverpool fans are. So when we're linked with players or coaches, we do our research and we try to find out everything we can about them. So I went to the guy. So I kind of cheated with my homework. So instead of doing the analysis myself, I went to the guys that I know study this kind of thing for their respective clubs. And the feedback was out of this world for Arne Slot. Everything that everyone said about him was glowing in terms of his man management, how he deals with the media, his tactical approach, his flexibility in tactics, and also how he turns or he raises the talents and profiles of players. And who does that remind you of? Who does that remind you of? The man he was replacing, right? So this is it. So then automatically this made sense. Why is FSG, Edwards and Hughes going for Arne Slot? Like, not many of us have heard of him unless you watch Eredivisie on a regular basis. But every report suggested that he's pretty much Jurgen Klopp, but with more tactics. Jurgen Klopp, but with maybe less of the man management, but more on the tactical side of things. And I portrayed, or I relayed, I should say, those thoughts and opinions on the shows that I've done on my channel. And if people remember watching my shows back or listening to my rubbish at the time, I said, and I made a very major, big, hot take. I actually said, Nina, and this is on record, so you can't. I said, I think he'll win more with Jurgen Klopp, more than Jurgen Klopp. And everyone sort of, but hey, 1 out of 1 so far season, not bad result, not bad start. My expectations were high, but I didn't envisage him winning the actual league. So that was a major shock.
It's incredible. I'm glad you did your homework as well. I think something that kind of settled my nerves with Arne Slot as well was when he was announced, they started interviewing Feyenoord fans, Sky Sports did, and just the way they were speaking about him made me like, I think it's really important as a Liverpool, as a club, and as our fan culture to have a real strong connection with your manager. And the fact that he had that with Feyenoord kind of eased me as well, because I didn't want no robot, if that makes sense. Like,
Absolutely.
I still wanted a personal. Obviously, he's not trying to be Klopp, and we know that he's his own personality, and I love that. You know, he's not trying to be something that he's not. But I do feel like there still is a connection with Arne Slot, and he gets the fans, he gets the city, he gets the culture, he gets the tradition of the club, and these things were important. And to hear that from Feyenoord fans was, I breathed there as well. But you obviously did one step ahead, and you did your homework, and you're sat here all smug. So I kind of touched on there wasn't much activity in the transfer window, so you had to kind of really work with what Jurgen Klopp left behind, which, let's be brutally honest, it wasn't a bad bunch and set of players. I don't think many managers would complain. So in your opinion, Grizz, who impressed you this season? Like, who's the one, when you kind of look back on this season in years to come, going to be like, that guy there? You'll tell your grandkids about it. I don't know.
Impressed. You know what? There's 2 or 3 candidates that come to mind, and I'm not talking about the usual candidates. We know the usual candidates. We know Van Dijk and Salah and Alisson, right? So we're gonna try to sort of go away from the norm and think outside the box. I personally have to say Gravenberch, and there's a couple of reasons for that. A, because of the I guess anger, frustration that we didn't buy a DM from certain sections of the fan base, and that people were thinking, "Oh my God, is he really gonna go without DM? Who's gonna play the DM role?" And then he puts in Gravenberch from the start of the season, and I don't know many accounts or tacticos, or call them whatever you want, that suggested that. There's 1 or 2 that did suggest that. Fair play to them, but no one saw that coming. And so not only is he young, he's playing in the Premier League for the first time. He's not played that DM role. I know he's played in a double pivot for Ajax, but not as a DM, a sole DM. He's playing under a new coach, a new midfield, all of these variables, right? And he was so good, Nina. He was absolutely pivotal. That's the key word. He was pivotal to our early dominance and success. Obviously, naturally, he had a little bit of a dip in the latter or 3/4 of the way through, because he played pretty much every game. Am I right? I think he started every single game. So he was going to have that dip, but he was so good. He was so impressive, tactically, physically, progression through the pitch with the ball and without the ball. I had my doubts about him. I have to hold my hands up. It's always good to acknowledge when you're wrong as well, and not only take the plaudits when you're right. I didn't see that in Gravenberch. I didn't see a number 6. I didn't see a defensive midfielder in Gravenberch. But this is why Slot is Arne Slot. And I thought Gravenberch was, for me, the most impressive player of last season in terms of expectation, like you said, what we want as a 6, and expectation from the fan base of, what are we going to get from him? Oh my God, we should have bought X, Y, Z. Gravenberch. Have to be Gravenberch.
Yeah, and when you think about the whole Mendy deal falling through as well, and there was actually doubts about Gravenberch's career as well, like, are we going to send him out on loan as well? And that's where our mindset was in the summer. And I think he does get a lot of love and respect for what he did, and I think rightly so as well. And obviously, Slot just did something quite. I don't know, a left field that I think shocked a lot of people. And, you kind of touched on, you have to hold your hands up when you're wrong. I think it's quite therapeutic when you're wrong, but it pleases you. Like, I don't think any of us are mad when a player works out and you had doubts about him, because obviously we just want that to happen. We want those players to be successful. I agree. I think Gravenberch was one of the key factors. And I like the fact that people are actually giving him a lot of love and respect, which is what he deserves. Was there a favourite moment of the season? I've enjoyed this question because it has been so diverse, Grizz, in terms of the answers and the responses. Yeah. I've gone for that social media post. That was mine. That picture of Arne Slot when he's like arching his back and he's holding his hips.
Oh.
And it just constantly kept getting recycled on social media.
I can't like that. I can't like that. I can't like that. There's a reason for that. So if if viewers and listeners and subscribers know Steve Hall of Redman TV, um, he's done a similar pose for one of their
Oh,
merchandise jumpers. Right. So exactly, that's
so you can't
exactly why.
unsee it now.
I,
Yeah.
I yeah. So even though Slot looks magnificent and is brilliant and it's going to go down iconically, I have Steve Hall's image, and so I'm not gonna say that's my favorite.
Steve Hall's traumatized you for life. Okay,
Traumatized me for life. Traumatized
yeah,
me
you
absolutely.
trauma. Yeah, shame on you, Steve. Right, all right then. So we're not going with that one. What I mean,
You
like I
call
said,
me
this
now
was
because now you're suggesting I could pick an off the pitch moment as well, because I was thinking on the pitch. So on the pitch for me, the most memorable part of the season was the Nunes double whammy against Brentford.
yep.
Uh I didn't have I wasn't having doubts. We were still strong favourites at that stage and everything else. We had a healthy lead, but I just thought Brentford away, and we're not winning here. And oh my God, this is one of those situations where memories, because we've got PTSD, right? And how many seasons have we had this type of PTSD? So, and we hadn't had that explosive last minute where the crowd go mad moment until then. I don't think. No, you know where one of those moments where last second go and you think, yes, that's it. That was it for me. That was memorable because I had not given up, but I wasn't watching it live. I must confess, I was driving and I turned the radio off. So I was driving, I turned the radio off, and I just thought, how am I going to do the match reaction? What am I going to say? How am I going to stay calm? Do I have to be positive? No. Do I have to be negative? It's not a negative situation because we still had a lead, but this is panic stations. And then my phone just went mad. Put the radio back on because something's happened. My phone's going mad. And the commentator, I can't remember who was going mad. And it's Nunes, out of all people. Out of all people. And I'm not gonna lie, Nunes is one of the guys that I was right about from the start. I said he's not good. He's not good. I'm telling you guys, he's not good. But I will support him until he leaves. Every time he wears the red, I'll support him. So it was a bit of irony that I was getting mad over Nunes and sent him all kinds of apology songs and you know, you know. Um, but that was for me that was the most memorable moment of the on the pitch.
I love that. And I also love the fact that he was subbed on. I remember social media reaction. We need goals and you're bringing on Nunes. And he gets a goal. He gets 2 goals. He nearly gets sent off as well. We got the full Darwin Nunes experience. I mean, he's just mad as anything. So that's your on-field favourite moment. I think it was iconic. Kind of reminds me of Aston Villa, in 2020. Yeah. You're right. There's like a comparison or a feeling that we got that reminded me of that game. So I think that is a great moment to highlight because I think the Aston Villa game in 2020 will, it's one that we remember. We were like, just, gosh, can we? And then it actually happens. All right then. So that was your favorite moment. I think it's an iconic moment. I'm going to try my best not to Google Steve Hall's picture. That's going to be hard. I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. So
do it because I want to see.
I'm not doing it. I can't.
I want to see your reaction as well. No, it'll be funny, but go on, do it in your own time then.
I will do it in my own time, and I will share my thoughts on that.
All right
then. So my next question to you, Grizz, is which match do you think defined Liverpool's title-winning season? Like, if there was a game that you kind of go back to and think, yeah, that's the stuff of champions. That's what kind of sealed it for you in terms of that's how champions perform. Because, like you said, we've always been quite short in other seasons. Which performance for you kind of like Liverpool just looked really assured in what they were going to do?
So I was having a think about this, and what comes to mind, obviously, I think the obvious ones that come to mind are the Man City away, where you turn up at the reigning champions and you literally don't let them have a kick of the football. The Spurs away. But then I was thinking, no, because your question is directed at me. So I wanted to answer it from how I felt after watching a game. Which game convinced me that we're going to win the league? And shall I tell you, it was something completely, I don't think anyone will have said this. It was Fulham at home. It was Fulham at home, 10 men. When Andrew Robertson gets sent off in the first 10, 15 minutes or something, right? I just thought we were magnificent in that game because Fulham are a very, very good team, and we've got a bit of a sticky record against them. And I really rate their coach. You know, I'm absolutely shocked that he's still there. I thought one of the big boys will come in for him. You know, the likes of Spurs have obviously gone for the Brentford one. Man United may be looking at him if Amrim doesn't fix up. But that, so I rate the coach, his tactics, the way they started off. Once we went down to 10 men and we played in the manner that we did, and we should have won, and we could have won and we should have won. I came out of that game after that game and thinking, we're going to win this league. I'm so convinced we're going to win the league. So even though we didn't get 3 points, I was convinced because the attitude, the desire, and Slot's tactics, everything about him was, I thought, magnificent. Performance-wise, as a coach, the players, the desire, the togetherness. And I get it, we didn't win, so that's a bit of a weird thing for me to say, but sometimes you can just tell from a performance that's a champion performance. That was a champion performance.
I love that. A lot of people have highlighted the Fulham game actually as one of their moments. For me, I mean, I'll kind of, you don't sound weird to me because you know when we lost to Nottingham Forest,
yeah,
and the way Arne Slot would not shut up about losing, and I was like, "Can you please stop? Because I'm trying to forget." But that's when the penny dropped for me that this guy's serious, and this guy does not like losing, and he took it so personal. So there are moments when you know where it's a rough, sticky moment, but something drops with you that you think, "Oh gosh, he's not happy about this," and that's a good thing.
You've nailed it.
You know what I mean?
I actually think that's a brilliant point, and I don't know if you stole that from anyone or if that's one of yours.
It's mine.
No problem.
I'm sure the people feel it as well.
I'll give you that. I didn't. You just raised that point, and I'm thinking about it, and you're spot on. And all the people that thought about that, because that showed his mentality. Like he didn't let it go. And that's what winners and champions and people at the very, very top and the pinnacle of their career have, that hatred of losing. We've seen it. Fergie, Mourinho, to give 2 examples of the greatest managers of our lives, hated losing, and he hated that loss. People could have brushed it off, made an excuse. First game at home, new league, new manager, not his team, Nottingham Forest, one off. He did not let it drop. So you're right. I think that showed what a mentality this guy has. And
yeah, because he had a free pass for me this season, Grizz. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go with the flow, gonna accept whatever happens. And then when I saw that, and I was like, hang on a minute, this guy, I think he's a lot more serious than maybe I'm giving him credit for, and maybe I need to be a bit more receptive to him. But it's good to go a bit left field. And the Fulham game is absolutely spot on, because I think a lot of people have highlighted it as one of their moments of the season, or something that kind of a penny dropped with them. So that's a great one. So okay, you spoke about champions, performance of champions, which is obviously, I think, scalping the champions at the Etihad in the way that they did it. And I think, you know, I love the fact that you've gone a bit hipster and a bit left field with, yeah, we're going to be champions, because it's like grinding out a result. Because I think a lot of people thought Liverpool were going to lose this game. I think that's what the anticipation was, and for them to draw was probably pretty decent considering the circumstances. Now, he didn't really use his subs, did he, Arne Slot? He didn't really trust his bench. Let's be honest. He started trusting a few towards the end because he had to, because I think some of the players looked absolutely knackered. If there's a player that you consider to be an unsung hero of this season, that you feel that doesn't get the plaudits, that, you know, his performances or his contribution have just gone so under the radar, that you feel, Grizz Kahn, that they need to be highlighted on Anfield Index, on this YouTube show, fire away.
Cody Gakpo. I think Cody Gakpo, since Sadio Mane left us, and obviously we know about Sadio Mane, an absolute true legend. Since he's gone, we've always been looking for efficiency, output, because that's what Sadio was all about. Sadio was all about output. And Gakpo, again, very much like Gravenberch, was used in a different position in his first spell. Of course, he has played predominantly from the left, but how Liverpool play their wide men was completely different to how the Dutch national team plays or PSV plays. And again, a lot of eyebrows raised about Gakpo's future at the start of the season. Didn't have a brilliant season last season, and obviously, you know, he was given the task of predominantly playing on the left. I know Diaz was, but Diaz done a lot of work through the middle as well. But Gakpo was predominantly only on the left, where Diaz done both. I think his goals were so vital. I think his strikes, I think the quality of his goals as well, and so many vital goals. Sadio was the king of scoring the first goal, the important goal, and I just felt Gakpo was not. I don't know about rated enough, but unsung. Right? Your question
He
is
came up when
unsung.
you needed him to, like when you were like,
Well,
if
no,
Salah's not scoring, he was the one that stepped up.
well, literally,
Yeah.
Gakpo is unsung. He hasn't got a song. He hasn't got a song, has he? I don't think the fans have got a song for Cody Gakpo. So he is unsung. So we as fans do need to think of a song for Cody Gakpo because, in my opinion, he's an unsung hero. He works hard as any forward in world football, tracking back, tracking runners. He's worked hard on his game. You can tell his attitude and desire and his mentality. He's fitted in so well with the team. He almost comes across as a senior member of the team already in his second full season. So for me, Cody Gakpo is the unsung hero of last season. So many vital goals we can pick out. And I think he's got one of the best techniques of striking a ball in Europe. Like when that short backlift, he creates so much power and accuracy. I think he's a fantastic finisher. Yes, there's other aspects of his game that need improving, but in terms of unsung hero, for me, it was close between Diaz and him, but I went for Gakpo.
I love that because they kind of shared the load together, didn't they? They both had like purple patches in different times, and that again kind of reminded me to some degree, not to the best of levels, of the Firmino, Mane, and Salah. You know, when we won the league, like two would be on their A game and one would be off, and you could allow it because two were just so.
We knew one of them would. We knew one of them would come good.
Yeah, exactly, and I like the fact that those two were having a purple patch at different times, and it kind of helped and eased the balance of Mosla, who actually just did some pretty phenomenal things throughout the whole season. So, Grizz, I'm on some questions now that I think you're really going to enjoy because we've looked at the past, we're kind of looking at the future now. Of course, we know what's happening in the transfer window. I think it looks like a very exciting one. Wouldn't you say, Grace? I mean, Frimpong done. Wirtz is going to have his medical pretty much soon. I'm sure you'll agree it's just a matter of time with Kerkez. I think that one looks pretty much, hitting the finishing line. So, with regards to transfer window, I've highlighted the ones that we kind of see what are happening. What would you like Liverpool to do? I mean, you highlighted Nunes not being great, and maybe he moves off. So I mean, can you see us going for a striker? I know there's Isak links as well. Like there's just so much. I'm overwhelmed by so much going on. But in your opinion, Grizz, what can you see Liverpool doing this window?
I think we've been brilliant in the window so far, and the reason for that is because what we absolutely needed as an emergency, not emergency, but yeah, you could say, because losing Trent, you have to not only replace a right back, but the creative side of Trent, and I think we've done that in a double whammy in terms of bringing a right back or right wing back or someone who's going to play in that position in Frimpong, and then not only that, then we've gone and broken the transfer record for a creative sensation in Florian Wirtz. So that's why I think our business equals magnificent, especially replacing Trent. And then obviously with the bombshell of recent hours or days, I should say, about Robertson probably leaving, in my opinion, we had to get left back. We had to get left back anyway. And then I think we've bought one of the most exciting. I don't think he's controversial here. I don't think he's a finished article. I think he's slightly overrated at the moment, but the potential is huge with Milos Kerkez, and we've seen his attitude and desire. So Florian Wirtz, Kirkes, Frimpong, so far 8 out of 10 window. But to make it that 10 out of 10 window, I would forsake next window's budget. I would sell, of course, Nunes, of course, Chiesa. I would reluctantly sell Harvey Elliott, all in the name of raising whatever it takes, whatever we need, whatever Newcastle ask for Isak. Because if we get Isak on top of what the business we've already done, then we are winning back-to-back titles. I've got no doubt in my mind. And I want to win back-to-back titles more than anything, because that will silence so many doubters that still doubt this magnificent football club. Now only people have realized what we were up against in a absolute juggernaut in City, with all their financial accusations and probably one of the greatest coaches of all time. But now that everything else is being sort of looked at with a magnifying glass, this has been our chance to really step on the proverbial necks of all the other clubs and really make a statement of a window. It's already a statement window, but to make it a 10 out of 10, and how often has any club had a 10 out of 10 window? But I truly believe if somehow we can get a monstrous bid and transfer over the line, then it'll be a 10 out of 10. Do whatever it takes. I'm sure you'll agree. Well, I don't know if you'll agree. I'll ask you, but I'm sure a lot of listeners and viewers will feel the same. If the budget for January is gone, I don't care, because with Isak, the league will be won by January. We won't have any additions to make in January. So bring me Isak, and then I think that's a 10 out of 10 window.
I love that. I think a lot of people would agree. Let's be honest, Liverpool really don't do that big transfer activity in January, although they have signed some really iconic players. But recently, it's just, like we've got, I think we've got in Diaz quite recently. I think Gakpo was the winter one. Obviously, Virgil van Dijk, we know. I think Luis Suarez and Andy Carroll, Coutinho was one as well. So we have bought some very good players in January. But you're right, just to kind of just steamroll it. It's just an easier market in the summer than it is a winter one, in my opinion. I feel like you have to do a lot of groundwork pre-hand. All right, so we get this window. You're saying we're winning back-to-back leagues. All right, fair enough. Are we going to win the Champions League, Grizz?
Champions League is, as we know, not always the best team wins it in Europe, even though PSG were the best team in Europe and they did win it this year. So Champions League, I always fancy ourselves in the Champions League. We are always in the top 4 favorites of the Champions League before games played, if we're in it, which we usually are. And that's because we know the power of Anfield in 2-legged ties. There's no team that will be comfortable against us. So Champions League, we're always there or thereabouts. It's so difficult to predict because you can have an off night like we did in that second leg, even though we played brilliantly. We had an off night in the first leg, but we won. And then in that second leg, I thought Donnarumma was inspired. And I think Salah had a bit of an off night where he could have scored one or two goals.
Trent was injured as well, wasn't he?
Trent got injured in the game. So
Gakpo looked a little off. I think he came
as magnificent as PSG were last season, and they've openly come out. Marquinhos has said it, their manager has said it, and most of the fans that I speak to in and around that game, I've done a preview and match reaction. Everyone said Liverpool game was the hardest game they faced. So Champions League wise, I don't ever have any fears, trepidation. I'm always confident that we're going to reach the latter stages. So I'm more confident of winning the league than the Champions League. And I think that's because Slot, I think, is going to focus on the league again more than any other trophy. I get it. He's a continental European coach, and most of them want the Champions League, and I'm sure he does. But I think if you asked him right now, what would you want more? I think he'd say league, and I'm there as well. I want the league more than the Champions League. But Champions League always takes care of itself because we're Liverpool, we're European royalty, we're European heritage. That takes care of itself.
You just want 21 times now, don't you? You want to
So
get
much.
one step ahead. Yeah,
So
I
much,
get
yeah.
that. Yeah.
More than you can believe.
I'm a Champions League girl, and Guy asked me this question, and I was like, you know what? As much as I love the Champions League, I can hold off for just, I mean, I want both. Ideal world, want both. But if you made me pick one, I would pick the league again, just so we can just get one step ahead. Grizz, you are such a professional, because that was literally my next question to you. But you could tell you do this for a living because you're just batting them out. I don't even have to ask you the question; you answer them for me. This is the end of the show. Guys, thank you so much who tuned in, who've listened. Please feel free to give us your thoughts, your feedback. We always appreciate it. A massive, massive thank you to Grizz. But before I let him go, Grizz, where can people find you? And I know you've been a really busy guy on podcasts, so feel free to plug away all your great content and anything else
gosh,
you're working on.
plug away. I haven't done a plug in ages, man. But hey, listen, thank you very much for asking me on. Been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to be involved with Anfield Index this year, this season. I already feel part of the family, so it's not a big thing to come and help out. I've changed my name of my channel from Football Carnage just to Grizz Kahn, and there's going to be a video, a reason explaining why, something to do with Klopp and heavy metal and carnage and no longer and slut. That's all of the hints I'm going to give. So check out, if you want to listen to more of my nonsense, check out Grizz Kahn on YouTube, and also go and check out the Big Six that I'm part of. So we're doing great things over there. The rest of the lads, we've just toured South Africa, which was a movie in itself, and that's it really. On Twitter, on X, it's at Grizz Kahn as well. So yeah, if anybody wants to listen to more of my nonsense, feel free to do so.
Yeah, and just to just alert some of the listeners, I'm sure they've already listened, but Chat G&G, Gags and Grizz recently just did a show as well, so do check that out. You're in for an absolute treat. And you're the host of is it the Red Room podcast now?
Oh yeah, again, honored to be asked to
forgot. I have to remind him.
bring back the Red Room, which is iconic because I used to actually, as a fan, watch it and listen to it and subscribe to it. Not watch it because it was never on YouTube, but we've decided to bring back the Red Room and reformat and in its new format, sorry, on YouTube. And hey, apparently yesterday's show was everyone enjoyed it. The feedback's been sensational, so love the support on that, and thank you very much for that, whoever watched and subscribed. And yeah, that is even though I'm supposed to be plugging myself here, I'm going to plug the guys at Anfield Index, including Nina, who are doing amazing, epic work. So yeah, everyone who isn't subscribed, please do so.
Wonderful stuff. Do check that podcast out as well. I'm glad it's back, and Grizz, you are the perfect host for it, guys. That's the end of the show. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. We'll catch you in another show, hopefully. Another guest, who knows? We're not giving any spoilers away. Take care till next time. Up the Reds.